So this will be page 3 for chapter 2. On these last few pages, of course, dealing mostly with Egypt. So let's get started. Mummification, this is probably an aspect of Egyptian culture that most people are aware of. It's quite intriguing. Mummification was a process of drying out the body, slowly drying out a dead body to prevent it from rotting, and the purpose was it was done to give the soul use of its body in the afterlife. So I got a little thing to show. So this is a large sarcophagus, and then inside there's another sarcophagus, and then the actual body. Somebody's mowing the lawn outside the window. So here's the sarcophagus. This one is probably made out of stone, very ornate in its decoration. Then another sarcophagus. This could be possibly made out of wood, placed inside the big one, and then the wrapped body placed in that with a lid over, and then the main lid over the top. So these jars, so of course the process of mummification took about 77 days. Different methods were used to dry out the body, different chemicals, fluids. They took a sharp instrument and pushed it up the nose, and that's how they removed the brain. They just kept pulling it out. The liver, the lungs, other internal organs were also mummified and put in these canopic jars. C-A-N-O-P-I-C, canopic. Giza is the location of the Great Pyramid of the King Khufu. This is also the pyramid you can see still has those flat, smooth stones. The whole thing looked like that. It was one gleaming white pyramid of stone, but many stones have been stolen, used for building houses, and the top is not 481 feet anymore, it's down to 450. People have stolen stones and been hit by lightning. Okay, Hyksos were invaders from Western Asia. They used the horse-drawn war chariot to overwhelm the Egyptians, and in a little bit of irony, the Egyptians 100 years later drove out the Hyksos from their own area. Evidence of them using this horse-drawn war chariot is from the movie The Ten Commandments, where through Moses they do the 7 plagues, and the Pharaoh finally agrees to let the Hebrews go. The final one, or one of the final ones I guess, was that the firstborn child would die, a male child would die. And the Hebrews painted lamb's blood on the door, and of course in the movie it's kind of a green fog or haze that goes through the town, and anybody that has lamb's blood on their door, it bypasses. Well, the Pharaoh's son ends up dying, and Pharaoh is mourning the loss of his son, and his wife comes in there and talks to him and says, "How come Moses' son lives and yours is dead?" And she gets him all fired up, so he gets his soldiers and he gets his armor on, and they mount their war chariots and they go after the Hebrews. And of course in the story from the Bible, they get to the Red Sea and there's nowhere for them to go, and the Egyptians are coming after them. And Moses touches the water with his staff and parts the Red Sea, and they go through. The Egyptians are following them through, and when they get to the other side, the people are safely across, and then the water goes back in and destroys the Egyptian army. They have found proof of there's wagon wheels that they have found at the bottom of the Red Sea. Some people discount the fact that they say it didn't happen that way. There was just a low spot, and that's how they were able to cross. But we won't get into that. Okay, the name Hatshepsut, one of the first women pharaohs. You see just a cartoon picture of her, but then that's also an actual carving and painted carving there of her. Ramses II was the most powerful pharaoh of the New Kingdom, and this is an actual mummy of him. You can even see in this picture the chin still has a little hairs. The ears, eyelashes, eyelids, those are all there. It's just very dry. So the body was preserved. It doesn't look that great, but it is preserved. Okay, social classes for Egypt. I'm going to make sure I get all of these. So number one, Pharaoh along with the royal family. The second one would be high priests and priestesses who served gods and goddesses. 3 would be nobles who fought the Pharaoh's wars. 4, merchants, scribes, and artisans. And 5, the peasant farmers. So there's different interpretations, I guess, of this level. This one you can see has maybe a little bit different order, and some of those are combined into one in this list. This one here shows just pictures of those, the social pyramids. So, okay. The hieroglyphs, of course, this is another well-known part of Egyptian civilization and culture, is the hieroglyphics. Priest carvings or sacred writings, as they were described by the Greeks. They used pictures in abstract forms, and hieratic script is a simplified version of hieroglyphics for everyday use. This is kind of some basic examples of letters and what pictures were used for those letters. Here's the hieroglyphics, the hieratic, anyway, some other forms there, and you can kind of see how those images changed. Papyrus, a paper-like writing material from a reed plant. The Rosetta Stone, flat black stone, has the same message carved in 3 different scripts. Those scripts would be Greek, Reformed Egyptian, which is kind of an everyday Egyptian, and the hieroglyphics themselves. And so by having the 3 different languages, they were able to translate or to figure those out. The French scholar, there's his picture, Jean Champollion, used the stone to decipher or decode the hieroglyphics. I use the word translate, that's probably not correct, to decipher the meaning of the hieroglyphics. Anyway, quick story also. This stone, so Napoleon and his men were in Africa, in northeast Africa, and there was a military campaign going on. I don't know for what reason, but they decided that they would tear down a wall, and in so doing, they uncovered this Rosetta Stone. My thinking is that when it was put in there, that was the purpose, to save it for later, that somebody would discover it later on, and it would allow them to decipher or to decode the hieroglyphics. Okay, advances in art, mathematics, astronomy, and medicine were some of the major improvements of the Egyptians. They had calendars. In fact, they used, the stars, obviously, with astronomy. They were looking at that. They had a calendar. It was 12 months of 30 days, and then I believe there were 5 days left over. They counted the number of days in between the appearance of what was called a dog star, but a fairly accurate calendar. So great minds, great achievements by the Egyptians. And that's the end of page 3. Thank you.